It's another great episode of our monthly focus. And for the month of August, we're focusing on business relationships and networking. But just before we get into our episode today, just a couple of housekeeping notes. We are meeting again in person. And when I say we, I mean like the Lakewood Business Ministry. If you're connected to us, if you're in the Houston area, if you're going to be around October 21st at 10 a.m., make sure that you come in 10 a.m. Like I said, the fourth floor, we're going to be there. So please make sure you mark that date on your calendar, October 21st, 10 a.m. at the loft on the fourth floor, Lakewood Church. Also, we're looking for volunteers. If you feel called to bring all the gifts the Lord has blessed you with into the business ministry to come help build the kingdom, text team, TEAM, to 77377. Again, that's team TEAM to 77377, and just pick business ministry as the ministry you want to serve with, and the team will follow up with you. All right. Now, for today, like I said, business relationships and networking. We are living in this interconnected world, right? And business relationship and networking, it's an integral part to the business world, but it's sometimes viewed with a bit of apprehension, like, okay, how do I do it? How do I build relationships? Like, oh, I'm an introvert, or then the marketplace is this place where you find yourself among non-believers, right? And then it's like, okay, what kind of relationship am I building? All of these questions. Building strong, authentic relationship is essential, like I said, but how do we navigate this complex landscape while still staying true to our faith and our Christian values? Well, I have the best guest to help answer this question. Joining us today is a successful Christ-centered entrepreneur, gifted with the ability to connect people and network. I'm talking of my brother, Ben Deal. What's up, bro?
There we go. What is up, my brother Remy?
What's good, bro? What's good? Thank you so much for joining us today, Ben. Ben will give a brief introduction of himself, but I just want to let you guys know he's a licensed real estate agent. But before all that, Ben has been a top performer at a Fortune 500 company, worked with startups in different industries, ranging from supply chain, logistics, e-commerce, energy, renewables. And Ben has a diverse background and experience. He recently hosted Expand Houston. We'll get into all that, but let's jump in, and I'll ask my brother Brent to just go ahead and give elevator pitch. Just introduce yourself. They're like, oh, who's this guy? He looks like a little Ronald Reagan. Like, who's this guy right here? So go ahead and introduce yourself, brother.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Remy. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name's Ben Deal. My background is in sales and business development over 20 years. Most recently, I've been planted in the real estate industry for the last 7 years, primarily on the investment side, and also working with people to buy, sell, rent, invest in real estate here in the greater Houston area. Yeah, and I'm a father. I've got 3 girls, so I'm a girl dad, and I've just really found my heart and calling at the intersection of faith and business. And so that's why I'm excited to be here and grateful to serve with you, Remy.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Yes, those beautiful girls, man. And like you, I'm a girl dad. That's just a different experience. But let's jump into it. Like I said, Expand Houston. You're just coming off that wildly successful event. Let's kick off from there. It will probably, we can confidently say you dealt with a lot of non-believers, as it is in the marketplace, like pulling together some of the top names in the Houston real estate industry. Now, how do you maintain, using that as probably a point of reference, how do you maintain your faith values while establishing relationships with diverse individuals in the business world?
Yeah, great question. So Expand was a first kind of big major event that I hosted here in Houston. We had over 100 people in the room. I had 4 speakers fly in from across the country, and I had a couple panels of top real estate experts from the real estate production side, like the retail side and then also the investor world, really symbolizes is relationships. Exactly what we're talking about today. If you were going to take a snapshot of my life in the real estate world for the last 7 years, that was really a cumulative snapshot of the relationships that I've sown in Marketplace. And it's really humbling to get the feedback, just in terms of like, man, I can't believe the caliber of people that you had in the, involved in this event, the people that were in the room. The feedback's been really encouraging just in terms of the people that I've affiliated myself with, developed relationships with. And that was really one of the most powerful things that I took away from that event.
Okay. Now, as you go about in real estate, you encounter non-believers, like I said, right? And you own clients. It's not just you doing the investor world, but when you meet clients and you meet people that are really non-believers, are there any specific things you do to kind of make sure that your faith remains the guiding principle?
Yeah. So, without actually articulating or saying it or, giving anyone anything, I think the more important thing that I've done, like where I'm planted, wherever my calling is right now, the work that I'm doing in this season of life is in real estate. And I find that there's a power when you elevate the calling on your life and your work to a higher place. And so when you start asking yourself these questions about, well, what do I do? So I'm in real estate. Well, what do I do in real estate? Well, I help people buy and sell, real estate. I help people invest in real estate. Well, what do I really do? Well, I help families transition from one place to the next. I take care of families one place to the next. Well, what do I really do? And when I find myself asking the questions, what I really do and my highest calling is to be a witness, to these people for what a relationship with Christ looks like in the marketplace, my opportunity to interact and build a relationship with them. So I think that's one of the big challenges just around identity and where we find ourselves, in this marketplace ministry is that we're defined by what we do, when in reality, there's a bigger opportunity to elevate and take a different perspective on the work that we do day to day to really say, hey, this is my opportunity to impact a life. This is an opportunity to, operate a different manner that somebody will say, man, there's something different about Remy. What is it? And piques the curiosity of like overflowing with love, like a servant's heart, all of the ways that we want to witness and actually live Christ in our day-to-day life through our work. That's really the most important thing for me is like, hey, if I've got an opportunity to enter in and create a space for somebody to ask a question about Christ, what it looks to invite God into the marketplace, to walk alongside, with me in my work, that's the most powerful part.
Brother, you just nailed it right there. I love how you pulled back to like, okay, yeah, I'm in real estate. I help people get into homes. I help people invest in homes to build wealth, but really pulling back more now, connecting what you do with your calling and looking like the greater purpose. That's so good. Let's now dive into a little bit of the Bible. In Matthew 5:16, we read this verse. It's a very popular one. Let your light shine before others so that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So now in building relationships and networking, that is an opportunity to let our light shine. How can marketplace ministers, kingdom builders, like we call ourselves, use our business relationships and network as an opportunity to shine our light and reflect God's glory?
Yeah. And this is another, very similar to what I just talked about.
Yep.
The way that we operate in the marketplace, how am I holding myself accountable to be a reflection of Christ? Like, how am I operating? How am I executing with integrity? What am I doing to, be a representative of excellence in the marketplace? And how am I, living and operating grace? There's just so many ways that we can witness to people just by the way that we operate and run our business, how we introduce and how we meet people. So I think that's the biggest thing, biggest opportunity that I've had that I see in the marketplace is, how can we go out and reach the unreached people that are going through stress, search for identity, that they're lost, that feel like there may not be hope, there may not be direction, there may not be purpose for the work that they're doing. And we can be the light that goes into that space, where whether you're in the corporate world, the startup world, whether you're in real estate, starting your own business, wherever you find yourself, I believe there's someone divinely appointed in that place, position, company, or a customer that you work with, or somebody that you interact with that, could absolutely change your life just through a simple conversation, or more importantly, just through excellent execution of the work that you do.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. That is it, what you just said there. Execution, excellently execution, right? Which is what it means by let your light shine. We're supposed to be different. We're supposed to stand out in the way we serve. We, just like you were sharing earlier, hey, people see you and they're like, oh, there's something about you. There's a way you serve. You don't just build, you don't just help people sell houses or help them invest in real estate. It's like it's about them. It's about how I can help you get better, not just, hey, one and done, and that's so great. But Proverbs 15 and verse 1, another verse from the Bible, it says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Now, how have you used this verse or other verses in the Bible that deals with wisdom, right, to handle conflicts and disagreements professionally? Because, when you build relationships and you network, it's not always smooth. There are some times where clash comes in. And how have you been able to navigate?
Yeah. And this is one of the bigger challenges and bigger opportunities, especially in the workplace or just in the flow of business, is how to manage your emotions. And I find that entering into and living from a position of grace, posture, just not letting the emotion take over, where we get into more of a reactive type environment where it's like, well, if this person said this, or I lost this deal, or this, this client wants to go work with another agent, or whatever, where emotionally in the flesh, I want to let it go. I just want to be like, man, I'm so angry and da 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 da. But when we start speaking into, start receiving, and that becomes like a declaration. We're like fueling this fire that when you pull back, a lot of those moments are like, man, I really wish I didn't say that, where you have to go back to apologizing and all of that. And so what I found is there's an opportunity to enter in and step into a position of grace. And I know we'll talk about some resources or books, but
yes.
The Sacred Pace is an incredible book that just says, hey, we're going to consult our friend Jesus Christ first.
Yes.
We're going to step back. We're going to look for the circumstances. We're going to, get neutral. It's like all of these things are just counter to the world that we kind of operate in, where it's like, it's a back and forth. But the beauty is when we react in a condition, this back and forth, if we let that go past with grace, and then when we come back with a different posture of love, vulnerability, forgiveness, whatever it may be, that's where the opportunity is to really come through. And we start and ultimately end up saving myself from a lot of challenging situations, or, things that I ultimately wound up regretting, just being from a posture of grace and just letting God work things out, surrendering, to God and his plan, that he's in control. And the other thing that I've been talking a lot about too, is that even when there's challenges that come up, a deal goes sideways, or there's a dry season in a business, like, it's turning around and not putting the energy into defeat, fear, anxiety, but changing it around into a posture and a position of expectation. I cannot wait to see what God is going to do in this place. I cannot wait to remember this day, August 1st. And from this date forward, whatever God's going to do, whenever he's going to do it, I can't wait to be able to look back and say, only God could have done that. Only God could have shown out in this position. Like, from where I am to where I'm going to be, wherever he's taking me, like, that's the part where changing that energy, focusing on expectation of, yeah, this is not where I want to be, and I can't wait to see what God is going to do, has been a game changer.
Wow, brother. I love how Holy Spirit is leading you here, because it's stepping away and not operating in the flesh, like really trusting God, right? Understanding that, as the Bible tells us, he remains Jehovah Jireh, our provider. We can get caught up in it because, when you, especially if you're an entrepreneur, where it's up to you to make sure, in a sense, right? It's up to you to make sure that you're the one bringing in the funds. So it's not like you're just picking up a check at the end of the week. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying it's a different state when you've calculated the deal. Okay, this deal is going to close and I'm going to make this and I'm going to make that. And then it goes sour. It's very easy to just fall into that, man, how am I going to do this? We've planned this, we've planned that. We're supposed to be getting all this done. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing. And Sacred Place, we'll talk about resources and all that in a little bit here. But I want to jump now into actionable steps. Let's talk a little bit about actionable steps for managing and nurturing long-term business relationships. Any actionable steps you can share? Sorry, tips.
Yeah. So this is something I'm in the process of writing, speaking about, and it's this philosophy of earning the seat. The interesting thing is that people, when we enter into a networking environment, a business deal, we meet someone once, sometimes I think that now that person is a contact I can reach out to, ask for information, freely give up their time and all of that. In reality, you've got to change your perspective, because just because I meet someone once, if I go to an event once and I meet someone once, like, that is the beginning of the journey of what I call earning the seat. And Robin Dunbar is a social psychologist. He did a study on how many personal relationships one person can maintain in his life at one point in time in their life. And it turns out, do you have an idea what that number is by chance?
No.
How many personal relationships?
I could guess, let's say 5.
So 5. So that's one of your inner circles, right?
Yep.
So those are your close confidants. But he said for the relationship of just like the business world and people that you and I can remember their name, like a meaningful relationship is 150. So 150 people, meaningful relationships. And how he qualifies a meaningful relationship is if you're walking through the airport in Hong Kong at 3 a.m. and I would see you sitting in the lounge, I would be able to walk up to you, catch up without introduction, know things about your life, what you've been doing, right? And so we've already got this kind of working. And so 150 of those relationships. So if you zoom out and think that I'm in an arena here in an auditorium and there's 150 seats, that represents all of those seats that are available in my mind, right? So just within the context of real estate, for example, there's all of these seats that are already filled up and there's only one seat that says real estate. And that seat is likely held by someone else. That there's someone in that person's life, in your life, for example, that you already know, a realtor, someone that's already been in real estate for a long time, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a friend, whoever. And I've got the opportunity to earn the seat, earn that seat in that person's mind. And so the interesting thing is that it's not freely given, it's earned. So the way that we go through and enter into this is through a process where you've got to provide value and relate, so you can develop the relationships. And that is done over time. It's not an instant gratification like, Remy, I come to our business event, I meet you once and we're like best buddies. This is something where over time there has to be an investment. And there's this guy, Daniel Priestley. He's an incredible entrepreneur, business owner. And he's got this formula. It's called the 7-11-4 formula. And this is how to build relationships with people. And, to get someone to make a buying decision more specifically. So the 7 represents 7 hours. Someone has to interact with you or your content for 7 hours so you can start solidifying that seat. So whether that for me is on YouTube, social media, in-person events, meeting you, going to coffee, and whatever, we need to create 7 hours within that context of that relationship. The 11 is 11 times, 11 instances that we have to have this interaction. Text message, phone call, meeting, whatever it is, meeting at an event or, whatever, 11 times. And then the four part is in 4 different modes, 4 different venues. So if it's in person, on social media, through a podcast, through YouTube, like it has to happen in 4 different areas.
Wow.
And so if you look at the context of a relationship, relationships take work. And to earn the seat or to build a relationship with someone that you want to work with, that you want to affiliate with, that you want to be mentored by, or whatever it is, that is a framework for the investment that I have to make to build a relationship so I can earn the seat with that person that I want to, be in a relationship or do work with.
Bro, man, earning the seat, that's never going to leave my mind. Yeah, wow. The intentionality behind it, right? It's like, okay, yes, I'm going to make sure that I nurture this. And like the question is, how do you manage and nurture? So this is how you do it. Like you earn that seat. You make sure that you keep interacting with that person, providing value, right, to that person. Because when I look at the 7-11-4, right, 7 hours, 11 instances, 4 modes. If you are not providing value, it's hard for somebody to engage with your content for 7 hours, engage with what you're putting out there, right? So if you're not providing value, and it won't lead them to those instances of wanting to connect with you, and then it ties into you being light. If you are being light, I mean, like who would see light and run away from it? Like, okay, no, you know what? I'd rather don't. Yeah. So, bro, that's so good right there. Yeah. Thank you so much. Those are some very great actionable tips. Now let's jump into resources. You've mentioned a couple of them. Secret Pace, man, that book, bro. Then you've talked about a couple of people you follow as well. So could you share or recommend for Marketplace ministers wanting to learn more about networking and relationship building, books, courses, podcasts, whatever you can share?
Yeah, I think so. Sacred Pace
Yes.
by Terry Looper. He's here
Yes,
in the
sir.
Houston market.
Yes.
Incredible book. And I think this is one of the kind of transformational books that's out there, just in terms of changing your perspective and really how I operate. So,
Yes,
he lays it out very simply: the 4 steps: consult your friend Jesus, gather the facts, watch for circumstances, and get neutral. And if you want to, you don't have to listen to me, but listen to a billionaire. Like Terry is literally founded, $1 billion energy company, and like set himself free where he's on a path. His calling is in discipleship. And so, great man of faith doing impact work in the marketplace. But
yes,
this is an incredible book with a framework that you can use every day.
Yes.
I think, from that book, the other thing that's really important, the more that I look at my bookcase and things that are coming up, I'm starting to surround myself with people that are actually creating and generating content. So I think the more that you learn from people, especially that, like, I've got our brother Bio here, where we're documenting our living testimony for, what God has done in our life, and then we're making it public. And so whether it's Pastor Nick, Bio, people from the community, if you follow any sort of faith-based believers in the marketplace, there's just like an incredible amount of opportunity out there just to learn from people. So grab these books, start listening to them, reading them. There is one resource that I know, in addition to obviously our business ministry at Lakewood. The Faith-Driven Entrepreneur is incredible. So they've got a self-led course. So if you go to faith-drivenentrepreneur.com, another game-changing kind of landscape on perspective. It's you can go through the courses by yourself, and they're always putting out great information. The most important thing for me, as we, talk about within the context of networking relationships, I love getting together in person. So there's no better place that I know to interact and meet people, see if alignment with, is by networking events. So that's in the church. So, wherever you find yourself, if you've got a business ministry, if there's some some business gatherings that are Christ-centered, those are things that I find that get me lit up. Like our business events at Lakewood are incredible. Here in Houston, there's a Toolbox ministry that they do Men of Faith lunches. But a lot of those you can intentionally seek out. And the challenge that I'll put out to you is, if you're not seeing something that is representative in wherever you live in your market, go ahead and create it. Like create the opportunity. to host an event that you would like to attend. And that's what I did with my faith and real estate event. God put it on my heart. It was like, hey, let's put God at the center of our business. And, it's just amazing to see how all that came together. So you can also coordinate and organize and lead out an event if there isn't one there. So there's almost an overwhelming amount of resources that are available. It's just up to you, up to me to find where we're going to invest our time to get us into the right room so we can meet the right people, and network and connect.
Bro, yeah, I know for a fact from our relationship, like you like in person. You excel at virtual, but you want to be in the room. Like I remember during the pandemic, we was like, no man, Remy, I can't wait for us to get back in the room, man. Virtual is good, but you love being in the room, you in person. And when we think back now to expand, which is how we started our conversation, it's how God led you to host that, to create that event, and the name Expand Houston, right? When we're talking about being the light, providing content, providing value, that's how you build relationships, right? It's in the sense of do unto others as you expect others to do unto you, kind of like, okay, give people what you would want people to give to you, right? Provide that avenue for people to come together to connect. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and we can't talk enough about Sacred Pace. Toolbox have been through you introducing that to me. It's a great venue. It's a great networking space. Also a faith-driven entrepreneur, and they have their I think they have this event happening every fall. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's coming up as well. All right. Before we get into a wrap up here, you are also one of the leaders of the life groups for the business ministry, which is another area of building relationships and networking, like, being in life groups. I'm part of your life groups, and it's been a blessing to my life. I've gotten better in a lot of areas because coming together every Thursdays, I've missed it for a while, but coming together every Thursday and just connect. If you could just speak to that, about the life groups and leading it and what all that entails.
Yeah. So Lakewood's got incredible resources for our life groups, and the goal of our life group is to create community. We've got business life groups, so the context is within the business marketplace. And so you get together with other like-minded business owners, entrepreneurs, people looking to do their own thing, where we're able to have conversations, ask questions in and around, what it looks like to live out this life, Christ-centered life in the marketplace. And so I know for me, the most important thing is these community events you get together, it's an opportunity to be encouraged.
Yes.
So a lot of times when you go out, if you're like, man, I'm the only believer where I work or whatever, you've got these opportunities where you can always plug back in, whether it's going to service or getting into some of these, Christ-centered events or communities where you can get refreshed, refilled, where you can go back out and say, hey, I'm energized. I heard this testimony. I heard this story from somebody else, to kind of provide you with the fuel so you can continue to move forward in the marketplace, even when it gets challenging, even when you start asking questions. That's one of the biggest things. So opportunity to plug in, you have to be intentional to get out and actually seek out these opportunities, because most likely they won't freely come to you. It's an investment of time, intention, energy, effort, like that you have to do to make it a priority. And the one thing I know is that whenever you come to these events, whenever you plug into a life group, whenever you connect with other believers, I never walk away saying, man, I wish I would have done something else. You always know that God is going to move you forward by plugging you into that.
Yeah, that is so true. Like I said, I've been a part of it, and I've gotten some great relationships built out of that, and network with some great people, staying refreshed. We just dropped the link to the business life groups, the Lakewood life groups. You can find life groups for marriage, and you can find life groups for your kids, and most of these life groups are virtual, just current nature of the world we live in. So, hey, if you're not even in Houston, you can still stay connected to Lakewood Church. So, my brother, As we wrap up now, any closing advice or words of wisdom for marketplace ministers looking to improve their business relationships and grow their network? Anything you want to add to all you've shared already?
Yeah. So in business and in life, relationships are everything. And so, most importantly, pray the biggest seed, the seed that is freely given is the one that Christ had provided to you, your
Yes.
relationship with God. So,
Amen.
that's the biggest one, that comes up. It's just when we go out to the marketplace with an intention to build relationships, I think these are the three things that, I really ask or impart upon you is that one, you've got to take initiative. So you've got to go through the process and you have to take action, to make something happen. You have to initiate, get in the right rooms. You have to initiate to, step out of your comfort zone to go meet that person that God put on your heart to call, or someone that you meet at that event, or, wherever. You've got to be the one that's the initiator. Like, we're called to do the work. We are called to move forward. We're called to make progress.
Yeah.
The other thing, when you're going out and building relationships, it's not about asking for their time. That's kind of where you're like earning the seat. You're like, oh, give me this. Hey, can I go get coffee with you? The second part is about integrating. It's about integration. How are you going to integrate into their life where you're not asking to carve out time out of their busy schedule? I know Remy's got a million things going on, family, work, everything else. Like, how or why is somebody that I meet just going to freely give up their time to say, yeah, man, I'll drop everything, come grab coffee with you for 30 minutes. That's going to turn into an hour.
Yeah.
I know they'll enjoy it when we get there, but the reality is like, how can you integrate into their work, their life, into their schedule? How can you walk alongside with them? That's why I love inviting people to events. Hey, I've got this Lakewood business event coming up. Hey, I'm going to church Sunday. Hey, what church are you going to? Hey, what events are you going to? What projects are you working on? Can I join you at wherever you are and stop by? So you're walking alongside with them, integrating in to their schedule instead of asking for their time to carve out, because there's nothing more uncomfortable than someone that you don't know asking for your time. And then it's like this weird situation. Hey, walk alongside with them. The last one is, and really the most important, is how do you increase the value to that person? So you really have to go through and think about what is the big challenge this person's facing? How can I be most helpful for where they're going? Whether it's personal in their spiritual life and their business, what can I invite them to that will bring value to them and elevate the posture and position of how they see me? And that's one of the reasons why, I did the Expand event, was I wanted to become a person of interest, but really it's to become a person of value, like someone that bringing value to the marketplace. So how can I bring the most value to these people or to the individual? And that's why, this Expand event is unique, because it was a bigger kind of effort, but it does not have to be that big. It's like, hey, Remy, how can I help you? What's the most important thing you're working on? And then be on the lookout for these strategic opportunities to, pull people into, or, send to them a resource, a book, come with me to this. And, that's one of the real big things. It's like, increase the value, and it's not just once, it's a consistent effort over time. So it is your foundation building this relationship so you can ultimately earn that seat. So it's like, all right, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to reinforce it by inviting him again. We're going to have a great experience. We're going to build the value here. He sent me this. I sent him an article. I sent him, whatever it may be. So you're always increasing the value, because you want to start going through a season where you're separating yourself from everyone else that they met at the event, especially when you start wanting to connect with the leaders, the speakers, the thought leaders that are in any industry or space. You've got to make yourself different from everyone else that is out there. And the way that you can really do that is through, differentiating with the value that you're providing and really positioning to them.
Oh, brother, thank you so much. Yes. Take the initiative, integrate yourself, provide value. Ooh, that's key. Walk alongside with them. It's what I wrote here. Like, and you, I'm a living testimony to all you just shared. Whenever we connect on the phone, it's like, what's happening in your life? Like, how can I help? Okay, you want to do this event, you want to do this, you're hosting this, how can I be a part of? Even if I'm in a tech space and you're in real estate, it's always been that offer. So yeah, you're walking the walk, you're not just talking it. So, brother, you've shared all these great nuggets, and I know our viewers and listeners are going to be blessed by our time together. How can they stay connected to you and, stay updated, maybe Expand Houston 2024, or maybe another event in 2023? So how can they stay connected with you, brother?
Yeah, the best place is through Instagram. So if you just go to @BenjaminDeal, so BenjaminDeal. So that's my Instagram handle. It's also my website. So if you go to benjamindeal.com, those are places that can kind of be the two places you can go to and get access to me. I also, if you go to the link in my bio, if you do want to connect, if you've got questions about real estate or operating in this faith and business environment, you do have the ability to connect with me. I've got a Calendly link on there. So there's that option available to you as well.
Thank you so much. It is the intentionality of that, of building relationships, of providing your Calendly, like, hey, I'm available to connect with you if that's what you're looking for. Thank you so much. The best deal in town. I like that's Benjamin Deal, the best deal in town. That's my brother. Before we close, I've always asked my guests if you could just let the Spirit lead you and just pray over businesses, pray over people that are thinking to expand, that need to connect, that need the right network, destiny helpers, whatever it is that their business need. Just go ahead, brother.
Amen. God, thank you for this time. Thank you for my Remy. Thank you for the business ministry. Thank you for the church. Thank you for our leaders, Pastor Joel and Victoria, for just this opportunity. We get to walk under the beautiful, loving umbrella of your Son, Christ Jesus, God. For all of those entrepreneurs, business owners, people that are in the marketplace, just call them to put God front and center of the work that they do, and really just so we can be a representative of Christ in the marketplace. God, give us the courage, equip us for all the trials, the tribulations, and more importantly, the successes that you've got in our future. Just bless us all with abundant overflow, provision, open up the right doors, close the wrong doors, put the right people in our path, God. And more importantly, those right people, may we be a window, an opportunity to them to enter into a relationship with you, God, for we are the hands and feet. You've called us out to the marketplace to engage, interact, and really impress upon people that there's something more to them in their life than just what they do in their work, God. We are here to serve you and be a light and be the hope for in the world that you've called us to be. Just thank you for this time. Thank you for the opportunity, and God bless all that we are all doing to be a reflection of you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, brother. On behalf of the business ministry, Pastor Brandon, the entire team which you're part of, thank you so much for taking the time to share. When we talk about providing value, you had to make yourself available for this, and we're grateful for that. I know, like I said, our viewers and listeners will be blessed by this. So just to wrap up again, our next event is taking place October 21st. Like Ben said, we're going to be in the room. Come network with faith-minded, faith-centered, faith-based, Christ-centered believers that are doing stuff in the marketplace. And then also we're looking for volunteers. Text team to 77377 and pick the business ministry when you get to the farm, so you can come alongside and serve and help others to be better entrepreneurs, leading people to Christ through their businesses. All right, brother. Thank you so much. This has been a blessing. All right. Bye.